From Molly, what are your thoughts about how to get people outside to harness those benefits when it's cold or rainy, or maybe people want to stay inside?
Yeah. Quite the challenge. Here I live in Seattle and it is gray and glum today and it's been raining. And all right, so motivations. One I have found is if people if this research appeals to them, it's like, oh, so it goes from becoming a chore to be outside to oh, this is good for me. So that's like the first step. That's the opener in the conversation. Then to help them find the right gear for whatever the season is. So I recently spoke at a conference in Sweden, and the saying in Sweden is there's no bad weather, there's just bad clothing. I don't know the Swedish translation, but I was told that so many times while I was visiting there. And I totally agree. So when not so long ago, getting the right technical clothing was quite expensive. But recently, I've gone to Costco or Walmart, and the technical clothing is really quite affordable. So maybe put together a gear list. Say, here's the stuff you need. And if you're dry from head to toe, or if you're warm from head to toe, it's really kind of fun being outside. The third is I have found that having a mentor, an outdoor mentor, and I've done this myself. So while I was still working at the university, I bike commuted for about 15 years and I bike commuted through the entire year. Again, through the rain, through the cold. And on occasion, people would say, particularly women, people would say, Kathy, I want to do this, but I don't know how to start. And I'd say, hey, why don't I ride with you for a few days or a week or so? And so I would help them I would aid them into the process. And I'd show them, these are the best gloves. I love these gloves. My hands stay dry my whole ride. And here's a good route, here's a good place to go. So you might set up groups or mentor individually. Walk with a Doc is a nonprofit, and it's set up so that caregivers professional caregivers set up walking groups with their patients and clients. So maybe that could be something, that concept could be carried into all season. Start in the summer when it's easy and people have fun and they start to develop friendships, some loose, informal social relationships. But then it's like, well, it's going to get cold. No problem. Let's talk about how we deal with the cold or the rain or whatever it might be. So there's some possibilities.
I'd like to just pause and reflect on what you said, because as we're looking at all this through the lens of horticultural therapy, and as horticultural therapists, as you said, we all know broadly the benefits of plants, but I have always thought it was one of my roles as that hort therapist is how can I help make this accessible to my audience? Is it emotionally accessible, physically accessible? What can I do to help identify and break down those barriers? And whether it's the tools or encouragement or the right shoes and jackets, I think that's what we do as hort therapy. It's just how do we help people engage in nature for whatever reason it is. So I think I'm hearing a lot of application as we've talked about this today. So I did see